Greetings, tarot lovers and tarot curious. Welcome to the next card in the Major Arcana. We have our friend, the Fool, who we all can relate to. And in the previous video, the Fool was visited by the Sun. The Sun, the happy, confident home of self-expression. Well, now he has left the Sun, and all of a sudden he has arrived at the unusual scene of what looks like the resurrection. This is a card that is monumental about change. It's about awakenings. It's about adventure. Let's get into this. You see, Judgment is often called other things in other decks. And when Waite had the deck created, he had decided that the Rapture best represents this evolution. And because he was studying mysticism, this was a part of mysticism. This is the second to the last card of the Major Arcana, and the Major Arcana represents a cycle. So this is toward the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. So in order for that to happen, in order for you to finish something, let's say you're finishing school, you're finishing a project, you're finishing living in one place and moving somewhere else, some cycle of your life. Maybe you got a new car and traded in your old one. It's sort of like a cycle of using that old car and getting a different car. So there are many different cycles, but this is a spiritual cycle primarily. And yet we can use it in the physical world because basically we're living a dream and our spirit world is the spirit world. But this feels like the real thing, and it is while we're here. It's here for us to learn. So I was thinking about this card and how it relates to big changes in our lives. It is represented by bodies being raised from the dead. We're going to be unwrapping the meaning of this strange and oddly uncomfortable image. But before we do, let's first look at this image carefully and see how the colors and details affect your thoughts and feelings. Journal prompt. Take note on your detailed reactions. These will inform you about how you might or might not choose to create the details in your own tarot card for Judgment. As you look at this card, I want to remind you that when you want to write a response to the journal prompts or sketch or doodle some idea on your scratch paper to develop your own image ideas for your own tarot deck design, please stop the video and create what you wish and then rejoin the session. I will be adding time codes as time comes on as I get to them, and those will serve as chapters as needed. Judgment carries the energy of the planet Pluto, the planet of death and destruction. Both Judgment and Pluto teach that endings are merely part of a cycle of resurrection and birth or rebirth. This leads from a winter of death to a spring of new life where we remake ourselves. Oh, just think of the bird, the phoenix. It's a bird that is destroyed in fire just to be reborn in a hatching egg in the ashes of its former self. So this is how it is with judgment and transformation. And the new self is permitted to emerge. Both judgment and Pluto are connected to the element of fire. And Pluto rules the 8th house, which features sex, death, and inheritance. Art activity. Think back to a time when you had a spiritual breakthrough or a relationship breakthrough or a career breakthrough, when you changed how you related to the world or to the person or the situation where you changed. Honor that part of you that changed and make art to represent that. Hatch out of that egg. Journal prompt. Write your impressions of how learning deeper wisdom changed you. How do you see your past and or current cycle of learning as it brings you around to new ways of perceiving your life? Honor your growth by thanking the older version of you for being a solid stepping stone that has allowed you to ascend to the next level on your soul's journey. The Rapture is a biblical story about future events predicted. In that story, all people who have ever lived and died, and there are different interpretations as to how many are in that number who will ascend, but they are called upon to rise from their graves and go to heaven. This symbol of this process is featured in this card as a symbol illustrating renewal. When you make your own tarot card for this, awakening, renewal, rebirth, transformation, there are so many words that go with this idea. Renewal can happen many times in a lifetime and at many ages. It has to do with gaining enlightenment, gaining insight, self-growth, maybe through shadow work, wisdom, and a deeper connection to intuition and spiritual gratitude. In this picture, you see the image represents a physical manifestation of a process of spiritual growth. Art activity. What ideas can you come up with that represent spiritual growth and moving from an old way of seeing things to a more functional, authentic way that feeds your new need for connecting to your spiritual identity? In a tarot reading about relationships, this card is telling you to reflect on how you are interacting in relationships and how that might impact relationships moving forward. It asks you to reach deep down inside yourself and bring forth your authentic self to live in a way that reflects who you are. It asks you to honestly look at how you treat others within the relationships and adjust so that you are both mutually respectful and cooperative and approach love from the perspective of being realistic. In a career reading, this could mean you are able to adjust to your new environment and transition. In order to meet your job requirements, you may have to reinvent yourself, and this card is telling you, go for it, do it. You can. It could also mean you are a healer within your community. Maybe people are drawn to you for sustenance of some kind, and you're helping others. Or you could be working for a nonprofit or spiritual-led segment of the community. In a tarot reading about spiritual growth, this card indicates you have reached a state of high vibration, greater insight, and more accurate vision for where you are on your soul's path. You are open to spiritual awakenings and openness to messages and spiritual experiences. You may want to seek a spiritual community that resonates with your continued expansion. We've covered a lot of ground with the card of spiritual awakening, the Judgment Tarot card. So let's contemplate its value and honor this journey you are on. Take a moment now to sit quietly in a chair and feel the weight of your body as you plant your feet on the floor, and take some long, slow, cleansing breaths. As you breathe in, pull in the energy of the Judgment card and think back on the aspects of this card that most resonated with you. Feel the energy of new insights, new awareness. Feel a desire for adventure, for change. Maybe you're moving to another city. Maybe you're moving. Maybe it's a new job, or just a new outlook that you've adopted and become a different way of looking at the world for you. Something that functions for you now, not the past, not the future, in the present. Something that helps you be in the present, alive, and living your soul's path. Feel a desire to express your new ways and celebrate your soul's path with a focus on living each day, affirming your personal growth, your value as a living testimony of your ever-expanding spiritual growth, and how you are dynamic. You are expanding, you're exploring, you're ever-changing. Trust yourself. Trust yourself to accept and love all parts of yourself so that you can be complete in your transition as you elevate to a higher vibration. Celebrate all that you are and all you have become and all you are becoming as this process of cycling through is ongoing. Honor your spiritual journey on the earth plane. Feel it awakening in your spirit. In your mind. And in your body. And breathe out what no longer serves you. After some cleansing breaths, just sit and thank yourself for this practice of connecting to judgment and following the Fool on his journey. As you quietly come back to your awareness, consider the expansion these tarot cards are providing. As you connect with your own empowering life story, I hope you enjoy unleashing your unconscious mind and creative ideas for your own awakening or judgment card. Next time, the Fool meets the world. Here comes the Fool. So please stay tuned for the last card of the Major Arcana next week, next Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me here. I really appreciate you being here. Blessed be, and namaste. Thank you.